I'm Myffy Rigby and this is Yes Chef. Today I'm at Margaret, Neil Perry's award-winning restaurant where I'm going to learn all about steak. Hi Neil.
Myffy, how are you?
Very well, thanks. Very excited to be here with these beautiful steaks.
Here we have a Hereford grass-fed retired dairy cow. It's about 3.5 to 4 years old. Some marbling, but it's actually much more long length of beef flavour, clean. And then we have David Blackmore wagyu, and in this steak you get incredible tenderness. You get amazing length of flavour because it is almost 4-year-old animal, and you also get this caramel popcorn from this incredible marbling.
So Neil, what cuts do we have here?
So we've got sirloin, so that's from the top of the rib down to the rump, and you always get this nice plate bone, so you get nice coverage of bone on a sirloin. It doesn't have as much fat and connective tissue as a ribeye, so I always think that you've got to be very careful with the cooking of it. And if you cook it well, it can be just as satisfying. But the great thing about the sirloin is you get a lot of really beautiful pure meat flavors. And you know, you've got here two different animals. So you've got a grass-fed dairy cow that's doing a lot of walking. It's giving milk every day. It retires and goes on the paddock and fattens up a little bit. But it's always going to be smaller and leaner than these bigger ration-fed animals, which, you know, this guy's a ton live weight, and this guy's probably about 500 kilos live weight.
Now, you've got this award-winning steak program here, number
Yes.
3 in the world, number 1 in Australia.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about how that came to be?
Well, I think, you know, from Rockpool, obviously, you know, my father and my 3 brothers were butchers, so I always had a really great understanding of meat and beef and farming, and so when I got to open Rockpool Bar and Grill in Melbourne and Sydney and Perth, you know, to be a proper steakhouse and dry aged meat, and importantly cut on premise, that was really the start of creating a world-class steak restaurant. And so I took that same kind of idea and program here to Margaret.
In terms of the cooking, can you tell me a little bit about like what the differences are? What are the big defining differences cooking something like this beautiful Hereford?
Well, you want to season it really well, and we'll really want to keep that on the kind of rarer side of medium rare because it's quite lean. There's a bit of marbling, but you know, compared to this, we want to take the wagyu to medium rare because we really want that beautiful intermuscular marbling to kind of start melting, go into the center, and as soon as we rest the steak, come back through. Like something like that with that much connective tissue and fat should never be served like really rare.
And what about the aging of these meats?
Yeah, sirloin doesn't need as much as ribs, so I normally, anytime from 21 days we'll start harvesting, and we take it through to, like, you know, sometimes they might get to 45 or 50 days. It just gets a little bit more developed flavour. It really is about you tasting the long length of beef flavour, and the dry aging is about creating tenderness and a little bit of complexity, but not dominating. I want the natural flavour of the beef to come through.
I can't wait to see how these two steaks cook differently. I'm really curious.
Let's go.
Yes, chef.
So we're just oiling the steak. Really heavy salt. It'll lose what it doesn't need off the grill. Basically the difference between a restaurant chef and a home cook is seasoning. Always make sure that the grill bars are nice and clean. On go our steaks. We're going to give a nice little seal on this side, turn it, and then with the sirloin, the grass-fed, we're going to give it a nice go on the fat to render it down as well. So it'll get cooked on 3 sides.
Is there any like particular trick to just like getting it right?
Yeah, so if you're cooking a steak like this, particularly that's nice and thick, you could just invest in a meat thermometer. In a heat like this, it'll move by about 5 or 6 degrees during resting. You can see it's starting to mark up and get some crust.
Is there any really big defining difference between cooking a piece of wagyu and cooking a piece of Hereford?
Essentially, you know, it's fattier, so it's going to actually cook a lot faster. This guy here is going to take about 12-15 minutes, and this guy here, I'll probably rest when it's really rare, give it a little bit more heat to catch up with this one when it's finally done. And a lot of people say, you know, just turn a steak once and all that sort of thing. It's really with live fire, you've got to make sure you don't burn it. And, you know, Heston Blumenthal is a classic for, I turn it every 45 seconds. But so the truth is, You can do it that way and it's a great steak, or you can just cook it on one side and it'll still be a great steak. It's just important not to burn it and to get a good crust. So,
How long do you want to rest these steaks for?
ideally about 7 to 10 minutes,
Yep.
just enough time to let it relax a bit. Then we'll often just hit it with the heat again, just to get that crust, you know, bubbling with heat, and then carve it.
What does the olive oil at the end do?
It really gives it a lift in flavour. It's there to support. There we have it, 2 beautiful steaks. Let's go taste, chef.
Yes, chef.
Okay, we've got some grass-fed. Oh,
I mean, I'll take 2.
wagyu.
Now, when you do a side-by-side comparison, what are you looking for?
Length of flavour, natural beef flavour, caramelisation. You know, if you look at the wagyu, you're going to get a lot more fat flavour through your mouth. In the wagyu, you've got that richness of the beautiful, intense marbling that's coming through. And this guy, you've got this beautiful, incredible flavour of sweet, you know, grass flavour.
So there we go. We have this beautiful 300 gram David Blackmore Wagyu sirloin steak versus and a 500 gram grass-fed Hereford. Both delicious, both absolutely have such wonderful characteristics, the richness and fattiness and almost like something floral about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there is no right or wrong answer.
No
They are
right or
both
wrong.
wonderful.
Absolutely. A++.